Hey everyone, RogueGold here, welcome back to the Division 2. Today I've got another lore video for you, and I'm quite excited for this one. That being because as of the latest Descent comm drop, it has brought a character back into the fold who has not been seen or heard of since 2019. And while it is always hard to pick favorites, this is one of, if not my favorite character in the Division's lore. They have a compelling backstory, they've had really great growth over the years, and they're interwoven into so many important plot lines. I'm trying really hard here not to dive straight into spoilers, so I'm going to give you your spoiler warning, whether it be Descent comms, the greater and ongoing Division 2 plotline, transmedia novels like New York Collapse and Broken Dawn. If you do not want any of those things to be spoiled for you, then be warned if you continue on in this video, but I'm very excited to break this down, so let's get straight to it. If you end up enjoying and you want to stay tuned for all of my Division 2 coverage moving forward with lore, news, breakdowns, whatever, then be sure to subscribe. And then, as always, huge shout out and thank you to our channel members. These past 2 or so weeks have been wild in the world of the Division, and I feel beyond grateful for your guys' support. Thank you. But without further ado, let's go. Alright, so as noted, this is all coming from the most recently released Descent comm that came out last week. I'm a little bit late to getting around to this video, but there was a lot going on with Gamescom, etc. We're here now. I don't want to ruin the surprise before you listen to the comm, so here it is.
Whoa, calm down. It's not that bad. Yeah, we used the eclipse, but it's not what you're thinking. They weren't innocent, Faye. Everyone still at Castle Clinton when we attacked was either a hunter or one of Kyle's loyalists. Except the guy we put in the chamber. And your agents rescued him, so no harm, no foul. They were not the heroes you think. They were not collateral damage. They were the target, and we couldn't tell you. You had to be pissed at us. You had to be furious for it to work. Keener was right. This made you hate us and kept your cover. Kelso trusts you. She can smell bullshit from a mile away. For this to work, we need her to draw Nat and the Black Tusk to New York. Kelso has the B-Sav. She knows where we can find April. Nat is tracking her. She's been tracking her since April showed up in D.C. Kelso helped her disappear. We need you, Faye. We need you to infiltrate the Black Tusk, and we need to recover April and the B-Sav before Nat does.
April Kelleher is back. Can you believe it? Now, it wouldn't actually shock me if some of you don't know who this is. As I mentioned in the intro, she has been out of the story since the Division 2 released in 2019. That said though, I cannot understate how important she is to the Division's legacy and lore, how badass she is as a character. While I would love to sit here and give you a full recap on her backstory, that would simply take too long. There was a lot to it. What I will do, however, if you're interested, is link you to my Division Iceberg video that I released back in 2023. I gave April her entire own section in there. I go over much of the top level details that you need to know. So if you want that quick background, a timestamped link will be left down in the description, which will take you directly to her section. But from here on out, I'm going to assume that you know who April is and just have a general sense at least of her significance. So yeah, this was very wild to see, entirely unexpected, and honestly I've got about a million different questions. So firstly, this comm specifically follows up from the last lore video I did where we saw Theo and Faye debriefing after the City Hall eclipse attack in Warlords of New York. It had always been kind of a plot hole that was left open about, is Faye really okay with them attacking a Division base like this? But as we saw in that, Faye was furious with Keener and Theo that they had targeted the Division and the JTF. Theo then went on to explain that hunters were actually stationed there, and that's who they were targeting. After that though, there were then many of you down in the comments saying, well, Faye clearly said this can't happen anymore, so what about Castle Clinton, which was another location that was attacked by the eclipse virus? And so we go on to see that conversation here. Theo once again explains that all of the targets within here were hostile. Anyone who was innocent or friendly got spared. But then he dives into this whole thing about April, talking about the importance of them finding her, Nat's desire to track her down, and allegedly Kelso all this time has been helping her stay off the grid. So there's really 2 main tracks that I want to discuss here. So again, just like a top level refresher for how April got involved in the Division 2 specifically, her story began back in New York City around the events of the Division 1. We then saw the Broken Dawn novel featuring her traveling to Ann Arbor, Michigan to follow up on the mystery of her husband's work with B-Savs, or broad-spectrum antivirals. It was at Ann Arbor that she then encountered the Black Tusk. They were called in due to a rogue agent spy who had earned her trust. She was able to escape, however, and then she then headed to DC, as that is where the B-Savs had been sent. Once she finally arrives, she finds Kelso, fills her in on what's going on, and that was really the last time we heard or saw of April, right? At the very end of that book, she's like, I can finally relax a bit now. The only little follow-up we have is that she was featured in one Echo in the Division 2, if you didn't know. If you travel to the last stop safe house and step outside just north, then you can look up and see that there's a rope hanging from this building with kind of a destructible weight on it. You shoot that, ascend up there, and then you'll find the Echo awaiting you.
Hold up, Brenner. Let's not frighten the nice lady.
I wasn't planning on frightening her.
Well, how about we don't shoot her either?
Why?
Indulge me.
Hey, if you're headed this way, you might want to take a detour.
Why's that, darling?
There's gun-toting assholes setting up an ambush not far from here.
Then how'd you get through?
Carefully.
Thanks for the advice. What's your name?
April.
My favorite month of the year. Thanks, April. We'll exercise caution.
It's safe back this way. We killed all the gun-toting assholes already.
Great. Good luck.
You take care now, April. See? She was nice.
She saw us.
So what? We're just a couple of guys that didn't try to kill her. Nothing especially remarkable about that.
If you say so.
Let's go murder those gun-toting assholes she mentioned. It'll cheer you up.
So yeah, this has been around since the launch of the Division 2, but it is cool to see her interact with Barton, just like she did with Keener in the Division 1. She seems prone to running into important characters. Now that we know what is being set up with this latest comm, it does seem very plausible to me that Barton could have reported this interaction to Nat, and that's potentially what put her onto April's trail. And I think that the comm we got sets up a pretty logical continuation of where things left off with all of this, back in 2019. So that's one part of this, right? What I also want to discuss, however, is this really all that relevant anymore? Now, to be fair, my depth of lore memory is not as good as some of you out there. Times like these are where we need NGN to step in and set the record straight, but aren't B-Savs kind of old news? I mean, we got the Pentagon bioreactor, we got Chernenko from Coney Island back in year 1. There was then a good few months of time between that and the Black Tusk re-stealing the bioreactor in season 11. Did we not cook up some of the cure samples during that time? If we did, were those not distributed out a little bit? Is a cure even really that needed anymore? I was under the impression that those who were still alive at this point in time in the Division's world are either immune from the green poison or that the infection risk has dramatically reduced. And while that's not to say that having a cure for the green poison wouldn't still be valuable, the way that Theo talks within this comm makes it sound like them finding April, them finding the B-Sav, is this super pivotal goal, one of, if not their main objectives with this whole grand plan that they're putting into motion. Also, something important to remember is that from the current timeline that we're at right now in the Division 2, this conversation that he's having with Faye is 3-ish months old. So why are we only now hearing about their intent to find April, even the fact that they know about her at all? If it is truly this important, why has it not been said after all this time? So don't get me wrong, as stoked as I am that April has been referenced again after all these years, and the fact that there is seemingly an intent to fold her into the main story, I am just a little bit perplexed at the reasoning behind it all and the true importance. If anybody has insight into this, maybe you're remembering something that I'm not, please chime in. Absolutely. I don't have all of the answers on this right now, but if we see April crop in more further comms or the ongoing story, I'm all for it. Hell, even if a future season coming up revolved around us going out and finding her, that would be epic. After a while there, I was convinced that we would have to wait until the Division 3 to see her again, and so this has been a very pleasant surprise, and I'm very curious to see where it goes. My friends, that is just about everything that I've got for this video. I just wanted to break down that latest comm given this huge revelation of April Kelleher coming back into the fold, into the lore of the Division 2. I would love to know your guys' thoughts on everything that we discussed here. On the one hand, what do you think about April herself as a character? Is she somebody that you're happy to see back, that you followed along with for all these years? But then additionally, what do you think about the actual details of this comm? The fact that Theo and Keener apparently know who she is, want to find her, want to find the B-Sav. Yeah, like I said, I'm curious to see how this unfolds. But that is just about everything I've got for this one. So, thank you all so much for watching. I'll catch you back soon. Until then, RogueGold. Out.